Alright guys, this is probably the last video that I'm going to do in the Oldsmobile today. So, just going over everything. We were having issues with all of the brake lines. I myself alone spent like 2 or 3 hours helping Scotty back there on that T-piece brake line, the one that he couldn't get. And then each side of these, the brake lines down there. Quenching them, waiting for them to quench, draining, or not draining, waiting for them to settle, and then like hammering a socket that was a little bit bigger, like marginally bigger, into it, hoping that it would get it out. I had tried different things, vibrations, just beating on the bolt to hopefully break it loose. Heat, I used the torch a little bit. I used Allen sockets, Allen wrenches. I used I think there was a metric socket that I used because it was fractionally bigger than a 3/8, because that's what the banjo bolts are. But that alone was 2 to 3 hours just trying to fight those out. And then moving on to the cooling, just taking everything apart up here, that was a while. Fighting off the hose down there, that hose took forever. I had to quench those lines, those hard lines. Those were stuck. Draining the coolant took like half an hour. Not half an hour, it took like 20 minutes. Making sure it was fully drained. And then I had to clean up the remnants of the coolant, because there was still coolant in the hoses, and when I pulled the radiator out, the hoses moved and all the coolant that was in the hoses just went everywhere on the ground. So I've got quite a few hours into this car today. Ran into almost nothing but issues. Those are all tightened, those hoses are on. I didn't put the lines on because I don't want to strip them. I couldn't get them to just thread on by hand, so I didn't want to risk stripping it. We already had one strip radiator this week. We don't need another. But, yeah. Just one problem after another with this radiator. I was gonna put it back together. I put all these bolts back in their spots, put the cover and everything back on. But we're probably gonna have to pull the radiator again, as I mentioned before. So I'm not gonna do that, because then I'll be wasting my time doing it all over again. But yeah, just the brakes alone took me like 3 to 3.5 hours just to try to troubleshoot, see what our issue was. But as we mentioned earlier, just new calipers. There's no point in doing cutting the heads off and doing new banjo bolts, because the amount of time that will take us, the labor just makes it not worth it. You're not saving any money, you're spending more money on labor. It's going to take us more time. So James, I recommend you just do new calipers entirely. They're cheap and quite easy to do. So yeah, so that'll solve our issue there. Actually, you know what I can do is I can try undoing the hard lines going to the brake hose on both sides. I totally forgot about that, so I can try doing that. Put a little more time into this car. But other than that, the radiator, done for today. Not going to touch that anymore. I've gotten as far as I am able to with what I have and what I can do. So, yeah.